It's time to talk about two important forms of racism: elite racism and everyday racism. Elite racism can be seen a kind of racism which is explicitly or implicitly found in the policies of an institution, maybe a media group, a political group, or any other group. Whereas everyday racism is found in everyday talks among people or groups which try to justify their own superiority and at the same time try to exclude others from those groups based on certain racist reasons. We can see that CDS scholars have been researching on racist ideologies as they manifest themselves as produced and reproduced, then negotiated or renegotiated through some elite outlets. And by elite outlets, we can see we can refer to certain organizations which have a powerful control in on various sections of a society. These may be schools, maybe business organizations, maybe government offices, or maybe any other kinds of influential offices. Even though elite is admittedly an imprecise term, still we can roughly call them some powerful institutions in a society. And these may be seen in the discursive practices of especially educational and bureaucratic institutions. In this context, the main focus has been on how discourse reproduces racist ideologies that contribute to marginalize and exploit others. By others, we mean some sections of the society or maybe larger sections of the society. We can see, if we look at the global political landscape of the world, we can see such marginalizations of various communities in various global in global settings. And because of various moral and ethical reasons, we probably would not be able to name them here. But being vigilant citizens of this global village to which we call the contemporary world, we can imagine, based on our understanding of world politics, that we still have, even in 21st century, we still have many communities where certain groups are marginalized because of their racist existence, and the existence which is not liked by the majority in those societies. And this can be seen as a prime example of racist exclusion from the societies. And in order to generate or reproduce such exclusion of those communities, people develop certain kinds of discourses and discursive practices. And CDA exactly focuses on such discourses which try to exclude certain groups from the larger community. Different elite spheres analyzed in this scholarship include the discourses produced through media outlets, through educational institutions, or maybe through political groups. There could be certain political groups who base their ideology or politics on such ideas which focus on promoting certain groups or sections of the society at the cost of other groups. Similarly, a particular relevant area to elite racism is the increasing articulation between race and immigrants. And one of the best examples of this we can see in the discourses about asylum seekers in some so-called developed societies of the world, where asylum seekers, as discussed in their policies, immigration policies, can be defined and or can be redefined, or what kind of responsibilities are pushed towards them and what kind of rights are given to them. A close investigation of such policies can hint about some kind of racism, as it has been found out by some prominent CDA experts. And this kind of debates in immigration policies are closely related to some other constructs, ideas in the society also, for example, nationality, citizenship, and culture. And while discussing these ideas, the underlying ideas of inclusion and exclusion, किसको शामिल किया जाना चाहिए और किसको निकाल देना चाहिए मेन स्ट्रीम सोसाइटी से, ये आइडिया हमेशा इन चीज़ों के पीछे चलता है. Studies also identify various discursive moves in media outlets that define citizenship in a particular way or from a particular ideological perspective at the cost of others. It also looked into a systematic incorporation of cultural elements in mediated discussions about immigration, and these mediated discussions involve various cultural elements which might discourage or hurt the migrants or asylum seekers. Then we also have a wave of sometimes we confront a wave of prejudice and negative stereotypes about immigrants. They are like this or they are like that, and they are ridiculed by the mainstream media sometimes also. For example, in some of English speaking countries, there could be TV programs or movies which probably would make fun of those asylum seekers or those immigrants who cannot speak English properly, and this could be a kind of hint towards some kind of exclusion. A second and complementary area of research in CDA has been the analysis of everyday talk, which focuses on the exclusion of others, and this is equally important as compared to the institutional or elite racism. Non-institutional context speakers often index widespread stereotypical beliefs about others, and such stereotyping of others has a lot to do with racist exclusions of people. Thus, building on and at the same time feeding broader ideologies such as racism, ethnocentrism, or xenophobia. There could be some kind of discourse generated which can create some kind of fear among people about a certain community, certain sections of the society. For example, we can see that the kind of fear which was created about Muslims around the world after 9/11 resulted into some serious feelings of Islamophobia in the Western world. And at the time when I'm speaking, this phobia is increasing every day, and many Muslim leaders have raised this issue to Western communities and to international forums, for example, United Nations General Assembly, so that the fears or fears about Muslims and Islam or Islamophobia can be reduced in the world, and we can live in a better world. Wondak's pioneer work on prejudice paved the way for such discussions, and we can see through his studies that everyday talk can be a crucial site for normalizing and at the same time distancing speakers from racism. Everyday talk not only can normalize it, make it look normal, and at the same time can make us cautious about these things. So when you are writing about these things, using disclaimers can be a good way to distance yourself from such racist talks. More recent studies have continued in this line, and they avoid giving negative judgments, and where there is a fear of negative judgment, they try to give disclaimers. Scholars often refer to everyday talk context as micro or local, and those who are elite racist sites, they can be referred as global or macro sites of sites for discussion or at the level of institutions. Understanding of local and micro practices are equally important because these are the places which actually give institutions a reason to exploit such everyday talk to make their policies. And most of the institutions who develop some kind of racist or race-based strategies or policies, they heavily rely on the discourses produced in everyday talks. Therefore, understanding everyday talk and the kind of racism involved in them is equally important when we place it in opposition to a global or macro level or elite racism.